Hello and welcome back to another episode of Press Start. My name is James.
And I'm Dwayne. This is a show where we answer any question that you like to throw at us, mainly comic and video game questions. This week we got a few questions picked out, and we'll go over to James, who shall read them.
Alright, our first question comes to YouTube user Lori Wellborn1 asks our favorite heroes and villains. And for this we decided we'd split it up into Marvel and DC, our favorite heroes and villains of each one of those, and I'll let you start with your answers.
Well, I'm going to go with DC first because I'm a DC guy, and I flip-flop a whole lot on this because I love Batman a whole lot, but recently I've gotten into Green Lantern, so I might go Green Lantern. And Marvel-wise, I might have to go with either Wolverine or Iron Man.
I guess for my favorite Marvel superhero, which is actually my favorite overall superhero, I've always been a fan of the X-Men, and Cyclops is my favorite. And over on the DC side, I like Green Arrow. He's the guy with no powers that does everything cool. How
Well,
about your favorite villains?
villain? Oh, man. I'd have to say on DC side, it's Mr. Freeze from Batman. Only because he shoots an ice cannon and I will ice, as stated in the last episode.
Covered last week.
Marvel-wise, I don't really know who I would choose for. Maybe Venom.
There's so many good Venom. That's a good one.
Venom or
That's a
Carnage.
good.
I like those.
Carnage is a lot better than Venom, but
Carnage is
that's an
crazy.
argument we get into in another time.
Yeah, we'll get into that later, Mr. I Love Red.
It's not just because I love Red. It actually is
Oh,
because of the
hush, I
crazy
know truth.
truth. You can't handle the truth.
I got your
All
truth.
right.
I just can't show you. Try to keep the show a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
My favorite DC villain, be Sinestro. I like the fact that he was a good guy and he kind of turned bad under crazy circumstances. I like that. I like his story of how he became a villain, and yeah, he's at times redeemed himself in the future, past, whatever. And Marvel villain, I have to go with Ultron. I've always been a fan of Ultron as a villain. I thought he's one of the strongest, one of the worst the Avengers have ever fought, and he's different. It's not like any of the other villains you see around.
The funny thing about Sinestro, as you were mentioning, he's went from good to bad and back. Right now in
Mm-hmm.
New 52, he's trying to. I'm not really saying he's good, but he's trying to get revenge on the Guardians for what he's been put through thanks to them. But overall, yeah, he's pretty much a bad guy.
Well, got to find your lot in life somewhere. Jumping right into, I'll stick with. I was talking about Ultron's one of my favorite villains. Another question that come to us is, are who do you think would be the most overrated hero, and who do you think would be the most underrated heroes in these spectrums? And one of my favorite underrated heroes I've always thought was Hank Pym, Ant-Man. I mean, he created Ultron. He created his own molecule, which allows him to grow and shrink. That's not actually really a power. That's he created that. And so, even though yes, I mean, the fact he created Ultron, which is one of the greatest supervillains, that's not necessarily brownie points. But uh, a lot of people just see him as Ant-Man and see him as more of a humor figure, whereas he's actually one of the smartest uh, people in the Marvel universe.
What about
And
DC wise?
DC, I'm gonna go back to my favorite DC character, which is Green Arrow. I think he doesn't get a lot of respect that he deserves. I mean, he's helped out the Justice League on several occasions, and he holds his own against some of the more popular DC villains like Deathstroke, which is a popular Batman villain. Arrow's taken him on numerous times. He even in one of the comics put an arrow through Deathstroke's eye. So I mean, he can hold his own, but he doesn't get a lot of the street cred like say Superman or Batman does.
He's part of the. I believe it's the International Justice League. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But he has been with the Justice League on several occasions, along with Hal Jordan, the first, or technically the second Green Lantern of Earth. But yeah, he's pretty underrated.
Who'd you say some underrated heroes you know of
Underrated.
under the table?
I'm gonna say for Marvel, Spider Man's underrated because everybody thinks he's a pushover.
Which, to
Which
an
in one
extent,
of
I
the
agree with, and to an extent, I disagree with. I agree with. I do think a lot of people fail to realize how smart and strong, physically strengthened he actually is. But I also feel like popularity wise that he gets a lot of popularity, but it's not for his actual powers,
no, it's not for his powers. It's for his wits.
which is the underrated part.
I mean, it's just like Deadpool. He gets a lot of his stuff because of his humor, not because of what he can do or his abilities.
Yeah,
It's just,
exactly.
but
What
let's
about DC?
see. DC. I'm gonna have to go Nightwing
Fair point. One of my
because ever since
favorites.
he quit being Robin, he he really hasn't gotten much spotlight. He's got his own new 52 series and all that, but a lot of people will just see him as Batman when Batman had to leave or when Batman originally died. He
Well,
came
see,
back
that's
and took
that's
over the
another
mantle of
thing.
Batman.
A lot of people probably didn't actually even realize. I mean, of course, if you're a big comic reader and you keep up with the timeline, you'd probably know. But I mean, I'd say a lot of people didn't even realize that for a while there, that Dick Grayson actually was Batman and had Batman's son as his Robin.
During the events of the Blackest Night is when most of that took place.
Hmm. What about let's see, overrated heroes? Uh in DC, I think we both agree on the one we think is the most overrated. And I know I've got a friend that is not going to agree, not going to like
He's
the
not going to
answer at
like when
all.
he sees this.
But I think Superman's overrated. I'm sorry,
Superman
but
is overrated.
he's overpowered and overrated in my opinion. I just
Don't
I'm
kill us.
sorry, but
It's just our opinion. Don't kill me.
I
See you
mean
next
everybody's
weekend.
entitled to everybody's entitled to opinions, but I really do think it's just popularity wise, power wise, I think he gets too much street cred.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Flipping to the Marvel side of things, I know you don't necessarily agree with it, but I think Wolverine's overrated. Again, one I think is maybe a little overpowered, but not so much overpowered as I just think ever since the X Men movies, his popularity has skyrocketed. But back in the day when I was a kid, Wolverine wasn't that popular. He wasn't even a good role model for kids. You don't want your kids liking Wolverine. But now, because of the Hugh Jackman movies, he's huge. He's in every
Well, Hugh
super
Jackman made
thing.
him like that.
I, I mean,
Originally,
I
he
agree.
wasn't like that at all.
But now he's got, I think somebody counted the other day, 13 separate currently running Marvel issues that he's appearing in right now. So he's getting a lot of face time.
I sound like Batman. Batman's got so many comic runs right now. It's and not just Batman. It's just the Bat family in general. There's like I think
Yeah.
8 of them. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
8 or 9, I believe. It's a lot to handle Batman wise.
Oh, yeah. Give overrated heroes. I mean, you obviously agreed with me on the Superman, but maybe a Marvel hero you think's
Marvel
overrated.
hero, I think overrated.
Yeah.
Probably the Hulk.
Oh, I did not think of that. That's a very good point.
I don't
I
like
agree
the
with that.
Hulk, and we got another friend that will probably yell at both of us for it, but I don't like the Hulk only
Oh,
because he's overpowered. That's I have no quarrel with him other than that.
I agree. I mean, here's the thing. I'll even say that I like Bruce Banner better than the Hulk.
I do like Bruce Banner better than I do the Hulk.
I like the intelligent side more than I do really the unstoppable side of it. I mean, there's a certain point where you just draw some lines there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with you on that one.
Yeah. So, moving on to our next question. That's probably our final question for the night. Is your favorite superhero lair or your favorite villain lair? Like it's hideout base, which one do you think's the best? Or would you even like to live in yourself maybe? You would pick for your own place to stay.
Batcave. I'd
Bat
never
cave?
leave. Never leave.
Okay, now here's my question to that because I actually had written down for my DC hero villain lair that I'd like the Batcave as well. But here's my point: are we going just Batcave alone, or are you adding the Wayne Manor on top of it? Have the
Just
whole city,
Batcave. I'm fine with that. I don't like
just the
Sunlight
Batcave.
anyway. I work in a sawmill, but I don't like Sunlight.
I don't know if I could live in the Batcave. I would love to have it added on, but I don't know if I could live there just because it is so dark and you never know where you're going. You could drop off the face of the earth and wind up in China.
Have you? Batman has lights in there.
Mention, not to mention, I got one word for you: guano, my friend, guano. The cleanup on that place would be a nightmare.
How you would sell that stuff though? Some
Yeah.
places want that.
Well, then you're gonna have to find.
But
Yeah,
here's an idea. Start tower with the Batcave under it.
I could see that working. I could see that
Dream
working.
come
You just
true.
behind your Marvel and DC right there in one lick.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
again,
with all the Iron Man suits in it though.
well, of course, you'd have your Batman suits on one wall and your Iron Man suits on the other wall.
Be
It'd be a
much
nice
more
little
Iron
lineup.
Man suits than there would be Batman suits though.
But with a big old cave, I guess you'd have plenty of place to store 'em. I'm going to be biased again and go with my favorite. I would definitely pick the X Mansion, and not just because of obviously the fact that I like the X Men, but because it you have the actual mansion on top, which has everything to it, and then you have the sub basements where you have the danger room, you have tons of different quarters down there to hang out in, you have your war room, not to mention you have a Olympic sized swimming pool that opens up to reveal the X Jet, the hangar bay, right underneath your swimming pool. I mean, you can't beat that. And I think I read somewhere that it has like 3 or 4 different basketball courts and tennis courts. You have a running track. I mean, there's everything to it, and it's not right in the city, so you get all the outdoorsy activity you want.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad to live there.
Perfect bunk down place.
And if you got bored, you could always go knock on the doors and run away.
Trick or treat. I don't know how well that would go over.
Knock, knock.
I'd be.
Housekeeping!
I might not like the candy I get from that place.
Probably not.
Okay, well, speaking of Halloween, what about villain? If you was a super villain, where would you make your home
Supervillain where I'd make my home.
or your base or lair? I don't know.
That's hard to say because DC wise, all you ever see is heroes other than the Hall of Doom.
Yeah, I don't even know much about
And
the whole.
I don't even like the Hall of Doom.
Like. I mean, the only villain place I really know from DC, because I'm not as familiar, but I know Arkham Asylum is a big place.
Oh, well, that might be pretty cool.
Is-
Yeah, now that you
I mean, if
mention
you
that.
get
I
it
go to
wouldn't be
Arkham.
bad. But my Marvel side, and again, I know you said you didn't like Doctor Doom, but I would want the Doomstat Castle because I love castles. Who doesn't want to live in a castle? Every kid growing up at some point in their life wants to live in a castle.
Fair
I mean,
point.
and he's got statues of himself all over the lawn. I mean, it's his castle. I mean,
Yeah, that's called in love with yourself.
okay, I get what you mean. Typical of Victor Von Doom to build a 30-foot statue of himself. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't know who I'd choose villain wise or where villain wise Marvel side. Probably
Fair.
wherever Magneto likes to hang out.
That would be Asteroid M or Genosha. Now, Genosha would be a nice place. It's actually more of like a tropical island resort he set up as a safe haven for mutants. It's like a refuge. And it Genosha would be a nice place to hang out.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad.
Asteroid M, what?
Depending on if you like space. If you like space, go to Asteroid M.
If you like space and living on a giant moon rock, I guess. But other than that, if you're going Magneto bases, I'd go to go to Genosha. My bad.
Yeah, that's what I
That's
go
about
with.
all we got for this week. So, you want to close us out with some parting information there?
Well, the only thing I can think of is next month on the 5th, Iron Man 3 hits. We're definitely going to do a segment about that. Just
yeah.
doing some preview stuff.
Cover preview, cover that.
Uh,
New Wolverine trailer came out. Have you watched it yet?
Not yet.
You need to check that out. We need to talk
If
about
anybody
that.
hasn't checked out Bioshock Infinite, I really suggest that game. It's amazing. I've been trying to do some recording of it, but I haven't got it down quite right just yet.
And I'll go ahead and put a plug in too. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure they had a comic run, but either way, it's a nerd thing. I went and seen G.I. Joe, the new G.I. Joe today, and it was pretty good. I really liked it. I definitely recommend it to any, I mean, new or old G.I. Joe fans, any kind of action fans, really. I mean, definitely go and check it out. If you got an extra $5, drop for a matinee, go watch it. Seriously.
On the topic of comics, Green Lantern issue number 19 comes out next month on the 5th as well. So that's all the time we got this week. You want to say anything, James?
Yeah, if you liked the video, click like, subscribe, please share it with your friends. We got to get more people, more fans. We need more questions.